and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. What has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light so that all might believe through him. He himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. The true light which enlightens everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came into being through him. Yet the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
So pageants have a tradition. They're always fun, if slightly unbelievable, a tradition that comes with so many memories and often laughter. Each year, script writers take parts of the Luke and Matthew birth narratives and interpret them in some modern or zany or rhyming way. I loved that part. Throw in some bad jokes and contemporary characters. I informed the first service today that there might be a cow showing up in the pageant today. There were two. We invite people to dress up, sing some 18th or 19th century carols, and have fun. A pageant is actually telling the story of how the Word becomes flesh. Fun is one of the ingredients essential to an awesome pageant. It actually is the Word becoming flesh. In the midst of all these kids telling us the story, I would actually challenge each one of us to remember, I'm guessing you remembered your own memories of your children, your grandchildren having been in the pageant, maybe even you being in the pageant many, many years ago. For me this year, I wanted us to think about these characters we've seen and perhaps place ourselves in the story. Every single character, I think, was in a mindset of ready or not. Shepherds out in the fields, coming in to share their words of what they heard. Are we ready or not? Angels offering assurance, trying to clean up our own humanness to analyze. Why is it that we always think we know what's best, or we need to know ahead of time what's going on? Maybe you connect with being a young woman, about to be a mama, and ready or not, that baby is coming. You might feel pretty alone with that feeling, perhaps particularly with Mary, with having others around her talking badly about her. What about the three wise ones, bringing gifts? Maybe you're that person, always bringing some sort of food, bringing a snack, a bottle of wine, some flowers. I know that it's obvious, but I'm guessing that gold, frankincense, and myrrh were not the most helpful of gifts to two young parents who happened to be sleeping out in a barn. But maybe it was their new investment plan. Maybe they were already thinking of their retirement. Who knows? What are some other ingredients that are necessary for a pageant story? Most of the pageant stories, most of the things that happened outside. Mary and Joseph walked to Bethlehem from Nazareth with maybe a donkey along for the ride. They're out in the open air. The wise men, also called, I somehow wrote this twice in here that I have to say it, Zoroastrians. That's the ones who watch the stars. They walk from Persia to Palestine, out in the open. Shepherds, out, looking over their sheep. Out in the open, the angelic chorus sings for their hearts. Think where these scenes aren't taking place. They're not happening in temples or synagogues or churches. The angel's visits to Mary and Joseph may have happened inside a home, but nothing else happens inside. The birth itself was out in the shed, out back. For me, the lesson is that the love energy we know of as God isn't confined to holy places, or indeed, really, any place. Often, that love energy of God is encountered when we are on the road, when we are traveling, when we've let go of what's been and we are venturing towards what will be, what might be. We don't even know. I recognize and feel that love energy when I'm in unsure territory, when I feel lost, when I'm not feeling in charge, truthfully, when I am in prayer mostly for reassurance. That's when I feel the love of God. So exercise a courage of mind, a courage of the heart to embrace, to inquire, to go onto a journey into the unknown and different. Maybe we have to take more risks, put ourselves in places where we purposely might need to do this. How do we live our lives remaining open for what might be without a plan? Another ingredient in this story is that kids get it and kings don't. By kids, I'm referring to the shepherds and Mary, all the kids. This is part of the upside-down, topsy-turvy ways of love energy called God. I think kids have an innate ability to choose kindness first. You all are awesome because you said yes to being in this pageant, speaking, acting in front of all these people, not sure what was going to happen. But it was awesome. For the shepherds, they weren't just kids or teenagers. They were considered meek and lowly. Really, that's a nice way for saying they weren't a part of the elite class. They were part of the working class. Perhaps not the ones consulted to determine religious rules and political decisions. Meek and lowly was actually a little bit of a dig. And yet they are the ones who heard the voice, who come and tell what they've heard while they were out in the fields. They become the Word becoming flesh. They become light to all of us. And of course, Mary was a teenager, not all grown up and wise and mature. Yet she was unmarried and pregnant. Could have been put on the fringes of society, but people believed. People heard words from angels and voices and said, okay. When we talk about these three wise guys, not that we know that there were three, or that they were guys, or particularly wise. But the writer did give us a strong steer that they were Zoroastrians. Think about that for a moment. They were not of the Jewish faith. They were not like everyone else. They were not Galilean. They were not Palestinian. They were from over the border, outside the emperor's boundaries. Again, the love energy we know of as God isn't confined to respectable, upright people or adults of influence and affluence. Those of our faith, our race, our culture. The love energy we know of as God crosses borders of age, geography, religion, crosses borders. So our challenge is to be tolerant of different. Step forward with a smile, with compassion, hospitality in your heart, and not step back and have your first move be suspicion. Find treasure among the little ones and the odd ones out. The love energy we know of as God isn't confined to what and where and who we see. We are charged to not judge by what people eat or wear or say or who they hang out with or whom they associate with. God doesn't fit in our pockets or anybody's pocket. As I thought about the many pageants over the years, there's many chances for rewrites, miscues, even falls. Here's some of my favorites. Well, now my new favorite is extra cows in the pageant. Some of the ones that I heard about were an innkeeper who was upset that he had only one line, "There's no room in my inn." Well, he decides, without telling the leaders, that there is room in his inn, and when they show up at his inn, he says, "Come on in. There's plenty of room." Meanwhile, the adults are going, now how do we rewrite this? Another one that I liked was a little girl dressed as an angel who was a little miffed because she wanted to be Mary. So throughout the whole live pageant, she's saying not so much under her breath, "I wanted to be Mary. I wanted to be Mary," even though she's sitting there with her angel costume on, complaining that she wanted to be Mary. But the thing that's amazing to me over and over again with every pageant is that when you look into the congregation, all you see is rapt attention, smiles of delight, parents beaming with pride, nudging the person next to them. "That's my kid. That's my grandkid." In the final scheme of things, I think that's how God sees us. God views us as his children in the same way. Maybe we too mess up our lines. Maybe our halos are crooked. We know how we are supposed to act. But we too sometimes go off script. And through it all, God looks to us, maybe with teary eyes, maybe hitting the person next to him saying, "That's my kid." We are the lucky ones. God says over and over and over again, "That's my kid." The lesson is simple. The love energy we know of God breaks out of religious, cultural, and class confines and breaks out of even time. The flow of love that transforms and touches each time and place and person differently. We never know how we will be affected by the flow of love. Friendship can do it. Kindness can do it. Humor can do it. Courage can do it. Tolerance can do it. Music can transform the love, the flow of love. Perhaps laying out under the stars can do it. Watching kids laugh can do it. Listening to angels can do it. In this, I believe. In this, I can believe. Amen.